Hello everyone, this video is about introduction to Cisco SD-WAN. In this video we will cover topics like SD-WAN architecture, benefits of using SD-WAN. We'll discuss about SD-WAN concepts like TLOP, color, VPN, OMP and the control connection. So before we discuss about SD-WAN architecture, let's have a look on the traditional network first. So let's say you have two sites, a site 1 and site 2. You have a router at site 1, let's say R1. You have a router at site 2, let's say R2, and you have a connectivity between R1 and R2 using a transport that is MPLS. Now let's say there is a subnet 10.x.x at site 1 and 20.x.x at site 2. For these two subnets to communicate with each other, you have to first take the access of R1 and R2, right, using SSH or Telnet or a console. Then you will do the configuration of routing protocols. So you will do the routing protocol configuration and the interface configuration. Then the routing protocol will exchange the routes. Let's say R2 will send the 20.x.x to MPLS router. MPLS will forward it to router R1. Similarly, R1 will send the 10.x.x information to MPLS. MPLS will forward it to R2. So this routing exchange will happen, right? Route exchange, which will be done by the help of the routing protocol. Then once these routes are done, the routing information base has been built up, then the data will be forwarded, right? Then 10.x.x will be able to communicate to 10.x.x. So then the data transfer will happen after that, right? So this can be divided in three planes. Like these two comes under the management plane, right? This come under the control plane, and this come under the data plane. Now what SD-WAN does is it decouples the management and the control plane from the actual device. With SD-WAN, the router will only take care of the data plane, whereas there are separate components taking care of management plane and control plane. So with SD-WAN you have orchestration plane that is taken care of by vBond, management plane taken care of by vManage, control plane taken care by vSmart, and then you have the CSR, VHS or the ISR routers taking care of the data plane. Now vBond basically is used for the authentication and the provisioning of SD-WAN fabric, whereas vManage is used for the configuration of the routers. Then vSmart will take care of the control plane, like all the routing protocol exchange will be taken care by vSmart, and the actual data transfer will be done by the SD-WAN routers. So now if we talk about SD-WAN architecture, you have the control cluster having a vManage, vSmart and a vBond. So these three components form the control cluster. Now let's say you have a router R1 at site 1 and router R2 at site 2, and you have MPLS as a transport for connectivity. Then R1 is connected to MPLS, R2 is connected to MPLS, and vManage is also connected to MPLS, right? So what will happen, these R1 and R2 will first form a control connection with these three component. So what R1 will do, it will form a control connection with vBond, it will form a control connection with vSmart, it will form a control connection with vManage. Similarly, R2 will form a control connection with vBond, with vSmart, and a vManage. Now all the configuration between R1 and R2 will be done by vManage. So you will be logged into vManage and will be doing the configuration of these devices. Then vSmart will take care of the route exchange. So R1 will exchange the route with vSmart, R2 will exchange the route with vSmart. There will be no route exchange between R1 and R2. They will only exchange the routes with vSmart, and then vSmart will forward the routes received from R1 to R2 and from R2 to R1. So this is how SD-WAN works. So basically in SD-WAN we have decoupled the control plane and the management plane from the actual device, and the actual device is only taking care of the data transfer. So now let's say you have a subnet 10.x.x here, sorry, it is 10.x.x.x here and 20.x.x here. Now this 20.x.x information will be shared here, will be shared to this vSmart by R2. Similarly, 10.x.x information will be shared to vSmart by R1. Then vSmart will push this 20.x.x information to R1. Similarly, vSmart will push the 10.x.x information to R2. So this vSmart is taking care of the control part. So this is how SD-WAN architecture works. Now if we talk about the benefits of using SD-WAN. So first benefit is zero trust security. Means as in SD-WAN, each and every component needs to authenticate itself. So let's say if you have a vSmart, like you have a this SD-WAN control cluster having vManage, vSmart, vBond, and you are having two routers, right, R1 and R2 at site 1 and site 2. These all devices needs to authenticate each other. They will not trust each other until and unless they are authenticated using the vBond. So this is the first advantage of SD-WAN, that it is zero trust security. Then second is cloud delivered. So these three things like vManage, vSmart, and vBond, these can be deployed on the cloud. So you can take these services from Cisco, and Cisco deploy it over the cloud. So basically you need not to deploy the vManage, vSmart, and vBond in your premises. You can take you can simply take the services from Cisco over the cloud. So second advantage is the cloud delivered. Third is zero trust provisioning. So basically with SD-WAN, you can do a zero trust provisioning of the routers, of the vEdges or the CSR routers. So you need not to do the configuration, or you need not to do any manual configuration on the router. And the fourth one is separation of the control and data plane that we already discussed. So these are the benefits of SD-WAN. Now if we discuss about some of the concepts in SD-WAN, first is transport location. So if we talk about this design, so when R1 connects to the transport and R2 is also connected to MPLS transport, so the port that is connected to the transport of the port of the router R1 or R2 that is connected to the transport is called a T-log. That is the transport location. So a T-log or a transport location is an attachment point where WAN edge routers connects to the WAN transport network. A T-log is uniquely identified, represented by three tuple consisting of system IP address, link, color, and the encapsulation. So with SD-WAN, every transport is identified by a color. So some of the widely used colors are, you can say, MPLS, Biz Internet, or a private. So these are the colors. So every transport is recognized by a color. Let's say if you are having an MPLS link, right, then you can identify it as using an MPLS color, right? So this T-lock is is the is the port which is connected to the transport. So T-lock is identified by system IP. So T-lock is a combination of system IP, color, and the encapsulation. So system IP is the IP that is, that is a unique IP that is defined on the SD-WAN router. Color is the identification of the transport. So you can use any of the color. Like there are multiple colors available, some of which are MPLS, Byzantine, or private. And the third one is the encapsulation. So with SD-WAN you have two types of encapsulation available. One is IPsec, second one is GRE. So you can use any of the encapsulation. So T-lock is the combination of system IP, color, and the encapsulation. So as we already discussed, the color attributes applies to the managed routers or vManage and vSmart controllers and help to identify individual T-lock. Different T-locks are assigned at different color labels. You cannot use a same color twice on a single managed router. So color should be unique. So if you can't use a color, let's say MPLS, for two different ports, each port must have a unique color, each WAN port or a port that is connected to the WAN. Then if we talk about VPNs, so in SD-WAN overlay, virtual private network provides segmentation much like VRF that many of us are already familiar with. Each VPN isolated from another, and each have their own forwarding table. An interface or sub-interface is explicitly configured under a single VPN and cannot be part of more than one VPN. So VPNs are similar to VRF. So in traditional network we had VRF. Now in SD-WAN we have VPNs. So VPNs is basically a segmentation of routing table. So you have a different routing table per VPN. So with SD-WAN you can have VPN number from 0 to 65535, among which VPN 0 is reserved for a transport VPN. So the transport VPN is a VPN that contains the interface that connects to the WAN transport. Secure DTLS and TLS connection to the controller are initiated from this VPN. Okay. So basically with SD-WAN you have three types of VPN. First is VPN 0, second is VPN 512, and third one is the service VPN. So VPN 0 is also known as transport VPN. So the control connection that R1 and R2 will form with vManage, vSmart, and the vBond, the control cluster, will be formed over VPN 0. So the interface that is connected to a transport or to any of the ISP will be configured as VPN 0. So this interface will be configured as VPN 0. Similarly, this interface will be configured as VPN 0. Whereas VPN 512 is used for out-of-band management. So if we want to take an out-of-band management of R1 or R2, we will use VPN 512. Then the service VPN are the VPNs which are configured for the actual for the the traffic let's say for the site traffic. Let's say you have a subnet 10.x.x here. This subnet will be a part of service VPN. Let's say VPN 1. So these are the three types of VPN that is configured with SD-WAN. So VPN 0 is the transport VPN. It contains the interface that connects to the WAN transport, and over the VPN 0 a secure DTLS or TLS connection to the controllers are initiated from this VPN. A static or default routes or a dynamic routing protocol needs to be configured inside this VPN in order to get the appropriate next hop information so that control plane can be established. Whereas VPN 512 is a management VPN. It carries out-of-band management traffic to and from the Cisco SD-WAN device. So as we discussed, we have three types of VPN: management VPN for out-of-band management, VPN 0 for the underlay, VPN 0 for the connectivity with the SD-WAN control cluster, and then the service VPN, that is under which the local network subnets are configured. Now if we talk about OMP, OMP stands for Cisco SD-WAN Overlay Management Protocol. So when we talk about the routing exchange, right, we talk that R1 will send the routes about information about 10.x.x to vSmart. Similarly, R2 will send the information about 20.x.x to vSmart. This routing exchange will be done over the OMP protocol. So this stands for the Overlay Management Protocol, that runs on the vSmart and the WAN edges, and when all the WAN edges forms a OMP neighborship with the vSmart. So it is similar to the BGP protocol, but OMP runs under the overlay of SD-WAN, and all the WAN edges and the vSmart runs OMP for route exchange. So Cisco SD-WAN Overlay Management Protocol is a control plane protocol that runs between WAN edges devices and the Cisco vSmart controller, and also a full mesh peering between the controllers themselves. Cisco SD-WAN applies the principle of software-defined networking, which separates the control and data plane of the network. That means the control plane information is never exchanged between the WAN edge router. VHS only sends and receives information through vSmart controller. So as we already discussed, that WAN edges, let's say R1 and R2, will never exchange the routing information or the subnets with each other. They will only exchange the subnet with vSmart, and then vSmart will forward that subnet to other routers using OMP. Now if we talk about the control connection, so as we already discussed that each and every WAN edge forms a control connection with the control cluster, that is vManage, vSmart and vBond, right? So Cisco SD-WAN vManage vSmart controllers initially contact and authenticate to vBond controller, forming a persistent DTLS connection, and then subsequently establish and maintain the persistent DTLS and TLS connection with each other. WAN edges devices onboard a similar manner but drop the transient vBond connection. So basically what happens, as soon as you connect a WAN edge to a SD-WAN fabric, it will form a DTLS or TLS tunnel with all the control clusters, all the controllers like vManage, vBond and vSmart, and this communication will happen over VPN 0. So this TLS and DTLS tunnel will be formed over VPN 0. So WAN edge will form a DTLS or TLS tunnel with vManage and vSmart, and the DTLS only tunnel with vBond. So once the WAN edge is onboarded, this DTLS tunnel with vBond will be terminated, whereas the DTLS and TLS tunnel with vManage and vSmart remains. So WAN edge control connection, the WAN edge router tries to establish the control connection over all the provisioned transport by default, first initiating the contact with vBond orchestrator over each transport before attempting to connect to other controllers. Only one vBond control connection is made per transport when multiple vBond orchestrator exist. So basically, as soon as WAN edge will come up, it will first make a DTLS tunnel with the vBond over all the transport. Then once it is authenticated by vBond, vBond will provide the information about vManage and vSmart to WAN edge. Then vManage or vSmart will make either a DTLS or a TLS tunnel with then the WAN edge will form an DTLS or TLS tunnel with vManage and vSmart. And as soon as this DTLS and TLS tunnel or a TLS tunnel is up between the vManage, vSmart and the WAN edge, then this DTLS tunnel between vBond and WAN edge will be terminated. So this is how the tunnel is formed, right? So vSmart runs the OMP protocol, whereas vManage runs the NetConf service. So what Vantage will do, let's say Vantage, if Vantage has two transport, one is MPLS, another one is in INET, right? Then it will try to form a control connection with both the transport, with vBond and vSmart, and with vManage it will only form a connection over one transport. Whereas this vBond connection will be terminated as soon as the tunnel between the vManage and vSmart comes up, as well as between the, like, once the Vantage tunnel with vSmart and vManage is up, the V1 tunnel will be terminated. I hope you might have liked this video. So in next video we will discuss about overlay and underlay in SD-WAN. So please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.